Oh, man, folks, who do we watch here? We've got Boston College and Clemson. And, of course, the Tigers have just taken a lead with a Travis Etienne touchdown pass across the middle. I've been scrambling to get the live stream going, so I believe that was Etienne from Uiagalelei for the touchdown to make it 32-28 with about 11 minutes left in the game. They were possibly going to go for two. Need to lock in on that, as well as Michigan State. Sparty up 20-17. Michigan's got the ball with 12 minutes left. My intent was to do these live streams at 3 o'clock, and there to be about 2 drives left in the game, and for me to have taken in the entirety, basically, of the noon games. But this is what has happened to the length of college football games. They used to last forever, especially once the passing game took hold and there's all these incomplete passes and guys running out of bounds, is that these college football games last 3 hours and 45 minutes. And then there were rules changes about 10 years ago that limited the games, and they were running more in the 3:15 to 3:20 range. Okay. And so because of that, I thought that we would watch the last couple drives of the noon games. But now they seem to be lasting forever again. They are lasting forever. We are at 11 and 12 minutes left in these games at 5 after 3. They're going to bleed into the 3:36 kickoffs. All right, Sooner Thrawn on here. Crazy stat. Clemson doesn't. Clemson down 15 at half, largest margin at home. Heard that as well. Notre Dame and Purdue in 1950. But I got Michigan State on the line. I should probably be watching the Clemson-BC game since that's a possible upset of number 1. But Michigan State giving Michigan all they can handle at this point as well. So we will take you all the way to the 3:40 kickoffs. And, man, I hate this. I'm in a bind. I got to watch these games, but I want to talk to you as well. And I thought that we would crash in on the final couple drives with 3-4 minutes left in the game. But, man, 12 minutes left in the game. My goodness. So it's all about Clemson at this point, trying to hang on for dear life to win this game. Of course, they were down 18 and have come back to nobody's surprise at this point to take this lead that they currently have. You would think that the number 1 team in the nation with the best quarterback, arguably the best quarterback in the nation, trailing by 18 points in the second quarter, trailing by 15 at half, and in this struggle with an unranked team with 10 minutes left to play, you would think, as we see the batted ball at the line, you would think that it would be because your young quarterback is not getting the job done. That's not the case for Clemson. It's not that Uiagalelei is not playing well, because he is playing exceptional. He's playing exceptional in this game. He's having a great game. I don't know that Trevor Lawrence would be doing much better. Phil Jurkovec doing all that he can. Boston College, to the point made by the Armchair analysis right there, BC has blown it. Well, possibly. They're only down 4. They're going to have to turn the ball over here on the punt, and Clemson's got all the momentum and so forth. But we've seen this happen before where a team's blown a lead and come back. Look at Maryland, Minnesota. And I know Maryland and Minnesota are not Clemson, but that's what we've got right now. And certainly don't count BC out yet. It doesn't look good. Clemson's got the momentum. They've got the better team. And again, Uiagalelei is playing exceptional ball. But look at what just happened here. We've got a fumbled punt, and maybe BC gets it. No, it looks like Clemson gets it back. BC that close. And to Armchair analysis point, Boston College is not playing anything close to a flawless game here. They've got 11 key penalties for 92 yards in the game. They could have made a big play right there. And these are the type plays that you need to make as a 24-point underdog to typically win and pull off an upset on the road, especially. Raptor, I'm getting Pitt Clemson 2017 vibes. We all were at one point, but it looks like Clemson has stemmed the tide. They've got the ball back with 10 minutes left, up by 4. Good football afternoon, Will Sky. Good to see you as well. And again, it was my intention, because of the typical length of these games, is to come on with about 3 to 4 minutes left in the game where we can watch maybe the final drive or 2 together not the entire fourth quarter because we want to watch football. So I apologize for that, but just the timing is off. And I want to sandwich in like a 30 to 45 minute show between the noon games and the 3:30, 3:45 kickoffs. And so that's what we've got. Luke, good to see you, man. You've got a date with Virginia on the road, of course. Armchair analysis, 97-yard fumble recovery. Yeah, those are the kind of plays that have to happen in these upsets. This is the Michigan team I remember. Well, Sparty's playing great. They're playing great. They're playing. Joe Milton's an excellent quarterback. It's only a game and a half to 2 games, but Joe Milton's exceptional. My goodness. I was noting that was the game that I was watching until this got interesting. That was the game that was my primary focus, was Michigan State. And I put down in my notes that Joe Milton's not thrown a bad pass in 6 quarters. Now 7 quarters that I've seen. I've not locked in on the third quarter, unfortunately, getting set up for this live stream. But Joe Milton, Michigan State's corners are staying with Michigan's wide receivers. You're not seeing the typical college game where you see wide receivers running around in the secondary wide open catching balls. The Michigan State corners are playing exceptional. They're playing really well. Michigan's gaining most of its yardage on the edge because Blake Corum and other guys have this A.J. Henning, who is a freshman. Look out for him. Number 3 for Michigan. A.J. Henning is a really good player. Michigan's defensive backs are committing holding and pass interference calls all over the place. Dennis, good afternoon. Yeah, good to see you as well. Good to see everybody. John, BV has some explaining to do for most Clemson fans. Well, it looks like they're going to win this game. And, man, I got to flip back and forth here. Maybe I should put the other game down here. Maybe we'll do that. Let's call this one up down here. So Luke is telling us that Michigan State is not good. Well, how good has North Carolina looked? You know, when you want to compare the 2 teams, basically Michigan State, we'll see how good Rutgers is. We think that they're a train wreck. They have been the last few years, but Rutgers is miles beyond what they've been. Not like they're going to win the Big Ten or anything like that, but they're like a decent team now. They're a capable team. I think they at least showed us that last week. Michigan is most likely better than North Carolina. They certainly were much better last year, and North Carolina's improving, and Michigan's stagnant program to this point, but they've got a much better quarterback this year in Joe Milton. Great catch by number 5 there. Like to know who everybody is, but I can't place him right now. Reed, Michigan State with a ton of personnel turnover. But Rocky Lombardi, as soon as he won the quarterback job at Michigan State, I thought, man, that's a telling tale of their program and where it stands right now. If Rocky Lombardi is still going to win that job, because he's not been good in the 16 games that he played before this season, but he's a much improved quarterback. It's not great, but he's much improved. He should have thrown that ball down the sideline more and not to the inside is where that ball should have been. But Michigan State's living on big plays in this game. This is where they're creating yardage. Michigan State's rushing attack is awful. Really, Luke, that's the issue with Michigan State right now. When you say Michigan State's not good, you probably haven't watched them play this game against Michigan. If they're not good, it's because they can't run the ball. It's because their interior offensive line is not a good run blocking unit, and they don't have a dynamic back. They have a couple serviceable backs. And that's the big issue with Michigan State right now. They've got some young, exciting wide receivers. This Ricky White's tearing it up today. Their defense is playing really well. And the knock would be that they gave up 38 points to Rutgers last week, but their defense didn't give up 38 points to Rutgers. Their defense played really well in that game. They did not give up the 38 points to Rutgers. They only gave up like 200 yards of total offense after the first drive. Here we are with Ricky White, this freshman who caught one pass against Rutgers, has 5 catches for like $175. So they're discovering some people. So remember, you guys, we're in the hardcore college football, but also the smart fan category. We're in the smart analysis category. We don't jump to every conclusion just because somebody made a bad play or somebody had a bad game. Oh, they suck. They're trash. They're this, they're that. No. Every week's another layer of information. Every week's another layer of information, and Michigan State's on the move. Wouldn't this be a tremendous upset to watch here, as Clemson is having to punt from its own 30. So BC and Phil Jurkovec, there's still 10 minutes left in this game. My goodness. So BC is going to take over at its own 9, down by 4. So let's see what Jurkovec has. Hopefully he gets time to throw. All right, this is good here. We got the live chat. I'll keep up with your comments. We got Michigan State in a great game. BC and Clemson. We really don't have time to keep up with anything else, do we, at this point? Oh, man. This horrible Michigan State team, Luke. Just, I don't know. This Ricky White, his 200 yards receiving, and just somehow lucked into this amazing catch inside the 5-yard line. Am I touting Michigan State as like a college football playoff contender? No. But they're not bad. They're not bad. Michigan's good. Michigan's a top 15 team in the country. Yes, Jeff Hafley has a bright future as head coach at Boston College Raptor. You see marked improvement in that team. And Steve Adazio did not do a terrible job there. It's difficult to recruit to Boston College and get athletes up there. It's like a Nebraska. Okay, it's not like Nebraska. But in regards to your recruiting footprint's difficult. You fill out the roster there. Then you've got to go elsewhere for speed and game changers for the most part. Michigan secondary is lacking. Exactly, David. They have had a rough day. Michigan State hurting itself with a flag on the chop block. I believe that's what happened there. Raptor, if Rutgers wins today, you can make the argument that Rutgers is better than Michigan. Well, you can if you really want to. I would not be making that argument that Rutgers is better than Michigan. But if you want to make it, again, based on one game, you can make all sorts of arguments. We could make the argument that Pitt was better than Clemson when Clemson won the national championship. And Syracuse at 4-8 was better than Clemson when they won the national championship or when they went to the college football playoff. Jeff Hafley won't be at BC for long. We shall see. College football. Jared picked Michigan State straight up. I picked him with the points. I took the 22. That was not a difficult decision for me to make in a rivalry game, considering Michigan State, again, they just gave the game away last week, which a good team shouldn't do that. 7 turnovers, and most of those were not forced. Michigan State's play calls are very predictable. You know what? Vince Lombardi's play calls were predictable too, but nobody could stop them. So play calling's a bit overrated. It's important, but it's overrated. Dennis, I seen Michigan secondaries being a liability last week against Minnesota. Well, Minnesota's got 2 exceptional receivers. Rashad Bateman is going to be a high draft pick in the NFL. They give up the touchdown here, and now we've got a 2-score Michigan State lead. This is fascinating. This is awesome. 5 minutes left, 27-17. Michigan, 1 week after. So I after the 1 week, for the people that said, well, Minnesota must suck, so Michigan didn't show us anything, and then on the other end of the spectrum, oh, Michigan's suddenly great. I said, well, let's watch more games. Let's watch more football. Let's see. So that's what you need to do. Notre Dame fans getting ready to watch your Irish take on Georgia Tech. Hopefully you're watching Phil Jurkovec today. And BC is going to start out from its own 9. Here we go. BC, 10 minutes to play. Too much time left in these games. My goodness. I'd like to get on here with 3 to 4 minutes left in the game where we can watch the final drive or two, not the entire fourth quarter. Michigan State is one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. Remains to be seen. I don't believe they are. Illinois certainly is. Illinois is probably the worst team in the Big Ten. And then we'll have to see. Maryland looked like they were, and then they beat Minnesota last night, and they have their best quarterback. It looks to be Maryland's best quarterback in about 15 years. Talia Tagovailoa looks like the real deal. Looks like maybe not his brothers. He's not as tall. He's not as physically, even though his brother is physically small for the next level. North Carolina might be on upset alert. I was surprised that they were only a touchdown, 7.5 point favorite in that game. I took UNC to cover, but Georgia wins over Kentucky 14-3. Now that's a Georgia win right there. They knew that their defense was not going to give up anything. In Kentucky, wow, I think they got their quarterback that they at least want to try over Terry Wilson. Now that they're 2-4. Go with Joey Gatewood, see what he can do. Okay, Jerkovic, they got the first down on the run. Now they're out getting some breathing room. They go to their big tight end, Hunter Long. He's a really good one of the best in the ACC, if not the country. So, yeah, Georgia wins a Georgia kind of game. And that's going to be enough for them throughout the SEC East. They got the big showdown against Florida. Let's see if Florida plays better defense today against Missouri. All right, it is 3:21 Eastern time. We'll take you up to the 3:30 kickoffs that are typically around 3:37. LSU and Auburn included. BC runs for the first down. BC wants to go on like a 7-minute drive and win the game. That's asking a bit much, but Armchair says this Virginia team, despite being 1-4, kept it close with the number 11 team. It might, let's not overrate that game. Virginia also lost by 17 points to NC State and Wake, and they are 1-4. Their only wins against Duke, who's even more incompetent than they are. David says the Michigan receivers have led Milton down. They have a ton of drops. Yeah, they've got some drops. And Milton's been, again, I've not seen since in the last 20 minutes much since I had to set up and go live with you from Milton. And Michigan State's had the ball for a long time in scoring here. But I've seen Milton throw basically every pass in 8 quarters, and he hasn't thrown a bad one. Now, he tried to fit a few in. Hey, Michael, good to see you. Purdue with a win. I believe they were up by plenty. I think it was like 31-17 on Illinois, which is no great deal there. I believe Illinois is the worst team in the Big Ten. I predicted them to be, and it looks like they will be. Jerkovic out. Oh, he almost threw a pick, and yes, he did. So that might do it, unfortunately. Hate to see that. Wanted to see them really get a shot there, but he was high. And let's see the replay to see if the receiver should have caught the ball. Let's see here. Oh, we got a flag. We've got new life for BC. We've got a flag. And I'm watching this on the internet, so I'm probably about 30 seconds behind everybody. So, yeah, that was a bad throw. But he was being just laid out to dry by Xavier Thomas at the time. And here comes Michigan. Under 5 minutes to play. Down by 10. This is fascinating. This is great for college football. This is just, that Rutgers beats Michigan State. Michigan State turns around and they beat Michigan. Boston College giving Clemson a game. This is awesome. We don't want, I stated every offseason, is college football become boring in terms of the results? Not the play on the field's not boring. The games are exciting. But the conclusion is that Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State are going to be in the playoff, in Oklahoma, not this year, but and that's our season, and that's pretty much what we got. Or somebody else from the SEC, but there it is. That's our season. Has it become too predictable? But we've gotten a lead on the line here, and maybe they get the ball back. Does BC? Let's see here. I believe that's a flag on Xavier Thomas. Is that what they called there? Oh, yeah, he dropped his head and just Yes. Xavier Thomas dropped his helmet like intention, just dropped his head. So Dabo's got no complaint. Shut up, Dabo. Don't say anything about that. That was targeting. Mark is the Albert Einstein of college football analysis. I will take it for what it is. Maybe I got to go grow my hair out a little bit, mess it up a little bit. We'll bring it out here. That was a bad throw by Jerkovic. But again, when you got a large man bearing down on your helmet, yes, that's targeting. Now, you talk about classic targeting, and I was the guy that was on here last week going nuts about the targeting rule needing to be revised and the penalty for it needing to be revised. But yes, I believe that that's going to be upheld as targeting. So Xavier Thomas needs to leave. Again, I think the penalty for targeting is ridiculous, although maybe that one would be an egregious one. Not that it was that forcible, like crazy enforceable. And then you've got idiot fans. I love the fans that go to the games. They can't see anything. Like the action's like 75 yards away. They can't see. They see it live, and that's all they see. And they boo because they just boo any call against their team. But that's being fans. You're fanatics. Fans, fanatic, that's where the word comes from. So that's exactly what it is. People are irrational and stupid. All right, here we go. Boston College with the ball. Nice little run out there for 4 or 5 yards. Neither team's been able to run in this game, although BC is running the football on this drive a little bit. Not for huge chunks, but for 4 and 5 yards. But neither team has been able to run. Travis Etienne did have a historic carry to close out the third quarter in becoming the all-time rushing leader in the ACC. I don't know who he passed. Was that famous Amos Lawrence? I believe is my guess on that one. Mel Tucker can recruit. He will need to recruit, yes, and develop, because he can only recruit so well at Michigan State. All right, so we got a big third, and knowing you've got a 4-down situation here, the play calling becomes much different in its approach. Much different in its approach. All right, this is good. Even though I like to watch the games by myself and focus in, and I thought we would come on here with a drive or two left in the games, this is fun because I can watch both games, and we got Michigan. They need to hurry it up. They're at their own 24. Milton, okay, now that would be probably the worst pass I've seen him throw. That was behind the receiver, probably shouldn't have been thrown. He's 26 of 42, but as David has pointed out, the receivers have let him down. So Michigan's down to a 4th and 6. So even though there's still 4.5 minutes left in the game, 4:19, this is obviously a crucial, crucial play. Michael, our one guy keeping track of the Boilermakers, I believe they've won that game. Luke insists that the ACC is better than the Big Ten. Well, we know, Luke, this can't be denied, that the Big Ten was much better than the ACC last year. That really can't be denied. That's factual. That's based on results. It's not even close. We don't know who's better this year, and we won't know for the entire season because there are no non-conference games. So even the playoffs not going to tell us anything. Even if Clemson goes, let's say Milton gets sacked, boom, Michigan State takes over in prime field position as well. So under 4 minutes, Michigan State's in great shape. Got the ball, 10-point lead in Michigan territory. Just so James Franklin's nowhere close to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Michigan State should be fine. So, Luke, again, the Big Ten has been much better than the ACC in 2017, 18, and 19. That can't be debated. The results are obvious. But is the ACC better this year? Well, we don't know because the conferences don't play each other. So we don't know. And that's not even close. I thought it was 4th and 6. Oh, did we have some kind of penalty? What did I miss here? Oh, my goodness. Wait, Michigan State had a sack on 4th and 6, correct? All right. Well, anyway, Michigan's got new life. I missed something. Michigan has new life at their own 44, 3.5 minutes left to play, 10-point game. Okay, that could have been the game pretty much, but it's not. All right, Milton throws a bad pass there. 2nd and 10. David Belk, yeah, 13 catches in the first game against Iowa, tremendous player. With Rondell Moore there at Purdue, as you well know, Michael, people have not given much attention to David Bell, but he was a high recruit out of high school, and one of those players out of Louisville, I believe, that Jeff Brom was able to pull in from the Louisville high school footprint. All right, here we go with Phil Jurkovic, 2nd and 7, 3:21 left. And they're inside Clemson territory. Uh-oh, that play's not going anywhere. So they just handed the ball off for about a 5-yard loss. Okay, so we're going to have 3rd and sizable. Sooner Thrawn. So Michigan picks up the first down, barely, under 3 minutes. Was BC coach with Grinch at Ohio State, co-defensive coordinator? He was there. He was the defensive backs coach. And then when Grinch left, he took over as the defensive coordinator. So it was Grinch and Schiano. So it was Schiano as defensive coordinator. Then Grinch came in as co-defensive coordinator. Schiano kind of elevated to assistant head coach. And then Hafley came in. I'm thinking of somebody else anyway. Hafley came in. Had been there, defensive backs coach, and then boom, he actually replaced Chris Ash, who then became the head coach at Rutgers. So these guys are all over the place every couple of years. How many coaches stay put? Brent Venables and the offensive coordinator at Clemson, can't think of his name offhand. Okay, 4th and 9, Phil Jurkovic, and you guys probably already know what happened, so don't tell me. This is pretty much the game. Well, and it looks like we've got another penalty, so it's going to be like 4th and 14, unless they called a timeout. Okay. Michigan State recruiting my son high school team. Okay. Cincinnati is the real deal. They certainly are in the group of 5. They seem to be the class of the group of 5, as they've been very close to being that. Luke Fickell doing a heck of a job at Cincinnati. Michigan moves it inside the 20. They are really wasting a lot of time. They got the ball back with about 4.5 minutes. This has taken 3 minutes, right? This drive has taken 3 minutes. Raptor, there will probably be an upset every week in the Big Ten this year. There's probably going to be an upset in almost every conference every week this year. Luke says Michael Hogue match up the teams Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, Miami, Michigan, etc. Yeah, that still doesn't prove anything. We can do that, and you can say anything you want. Clemson, Ohio State play. Who's going to win? 10 games. I'd say it's going to be 5-5. Maybe Ohio State wins 6-4. 5-5 is probably reasonable. Notre Dame, Penn State. Well, maybe Penn State's not the second place team or second best team in the Big Ten. They've played 1 game, they lost. So we can't even seed the teams right now. We could, but we're probably going to be way off. But yes, you're doing, Luke, an exercise that's hypothetical in theory, and we could do that. I've done it before. You guys haven't probably watched me long enough, but I used to do that. I'd put up the big whiteboard and I'd say, let's match up the ACC and the SEC, or the ACC and the Pac-12, or the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, 2 conferences, and just guess how many games would each team win as we line up the teams in a 10-game series. Michigan down to the 1-yard line with 50 seconds left to play. Still a perilous situation, as Joe Milton is going to throw 50 passes in this game, and that shouldn't be the case with anybody trying to win big games. So that's not good. All right, Clemson takes over. So, of course, BC needs to get a stop. They need a 3-and-out, and that's not a good play for BC on first down, as Clemson picks up about 5 to 6 yards. So, yeah, we can play the hypothetical, Luke, and it's fun, but it doesn't mean anything. It's not verified. What's verified are the results on the field, and the ACC went 5-19 against the other conferences last year, and Clemson won 3 of those games, and the other win was against Rutgers. So that was pretty much it. That's awful. That even if you match up the seedings, it's not like all the worst teams in the ACC were losing to Ohio State and Oklahoma and Oregon. No, they were like seeded matchups, and the ACC still got obliterated. So that was last year. I can't imagine that the conference is that much better. Plus, Notre Dame is really not part of the conference. They don't belong to the conference. Okay, Michigan scores, and they're all excited about scoring, but I love when players celebrate when they really – I know that's great, you scored, but let's understand the situation and what really needs to happen here, which is, kick the extra point to get within 3, and then you're in a – Michigan's got a 2 or 3% chance of winning. Always love those situations in which you hear about the probability percentage after the game, and that so-and-so had a 99% chance of winning and they blew the game, and then you see the scenario and you're like, why was it 99%? That made no sense. It was only a 12-point game with 5 minutes left. Well, that's not 99%. Will Michigan finally beat Ohio State this year? I don't believe so. Doesn't look like it. Minnesota doesn't look very good. No, they don't. But again, they're playing other Big Ten teams. See, that's the thing, Luke. They're playing other Big Ten teams. I'm going to break the news to everybody, but every conference is going to go 500. So we can't evaluate the conferences against each other because they don't play each other this year. The only little bit of information we can take is that the Big 12 lost to and looked bad against Sun Belt and FCS teams. That's the only slice as a negative against the Big 12 we can take that I think is valid, because we're talking about 2 upper echelon Big 12 teams, Iowa State and Kansas State losing to Sun Belt teams, Texas Tech, even though they're a lower tier team in the Big 12, barely beating Houston Baptist, Kansas losing to Coastal Carolina. Well, that obviously isn't a bad thing at this point, but those 3 other results are awful. Michael, then why is everybody ranked the ACC as the 3rd best Power 5 conference? Are they even the 3rd best? I don't know. Maybe with Notre Dame included, but they weren't last year. Curveball, let me say an SEC thing. The ACC just beats each other up. Yeah, well, every conference. You can spin it any way you want, and Michigan State has won the game. They recovered the ball unless something crazy happens, like maybe they try to punt and the punter throws the ball up in the air. Remember that? 5 years ago. All right, 4th and 1 for Clemson. I missed something here. Did Purdue barely beat Illinois, 31-24? All right. So who's got the ball? It's 4th and 1. It must be Clemson with the ball going to punt. So BC should get one more shot here. They're going to get the ball back in the punt. All right, they did their job. The defense did its job. And here we go. Punt it out. Oh, my goodness. BC is going to have to drive it 96 yards. 96 yards. Why is Michigan State even running the ball? I think I would take a knee and let Michigan take its timeouts. Well, regardless, there you go. Yeah, I've seen nothing on the only judgments you can make about the results in the conferences is how balanced the conference is. Because if you've got a conference, let's say, where everybody's going 4-4 and 5-3, then obviously the conference is balanced. It could still be a garbage conference, or it could be a great conference. But all we know is that it's balanced. Uh-oh. What a crazy play in the end zone, and that pretty much did it. I don't know what they're going to rule there. That's illegal touching, probably. I didn't see who touched the ball. Was that an offensive lineman? Yeah, probably illegal touching in the end zone. Michigan State upsets Michigan. How about that? And we're kicking off the 3:30 games, so we will suspend the Big Ten versus ACC conversation as well, because it's kind of null and void. We know that the Big Ten has been better for 3 consecutive years by far. Shaw Dog, never thought I could say this, but Cincinnati better than Georgia. No, still please don't say that, because that would not be true. Georgia's better than Cincinnati. Okay, they are. All right, everyone, great to see you. We'll be back prime time after the Ohio State-Penn State game, Texas A&M, Arkansas, and all the big prime time matchups here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Appreciate it. Watch football. We'll see you.